What's up, guys? John here, Titanette time with Rachel Daniels.
Hey guys and girls, what's up? We're back for another awesome week. Why are you laughing?
We are. I'm happy to be here, man. Life is good, man. Every day that you wake up is a blessing.
Agreed.
For sure, 110%. You know, and yesterday was just another big wake up call for me. So
yeah.
Anyway, at that point, like I said, if we're here, we should be laughing, we should be enjoying life, and trying to progress the best we possibly can.
Absolutely.
So, today we're going to talk about some awesome topics.
Awesome. And we are, speaking of blessed to be here, we are blessed to be here that we both have our, professions in the industry, and we found a way to build our brands. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Where to build your brand. If you're looking to capitalize off of the fitness industry, whether you're an athlete or you're going to be behind the scenes as a coach or a fitness model, anything. There's so many professions. I guess you can pretty much make money off of anything nowadays. It's not like you have to, do a 9 to 5 and go to college and like your parents did. If you have to, you can. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are interested in, where do we start?
I think there's a lot of people out there, and listen, you can go a lot of different avenues,
right,
to be able to monetize and to be able to build your own brand of who you are, what you're portraying out there, and showing value for yourself.
Right.
And there's a couple mistakes that I see some people do along the way. Mm-hmm. Now, nobody's perfect. You can always make sure you can refine these different things. But as if I had the shortcuts and somebody laid out the exact formula of what I should do, I would have been grateful.
Yeah.
I've definitely had to make, some mistakes along the way. And obviously I've learned from some different people too, which is, it's all about,
Absolutely.
people that are doing big things.
I think mentors, and that's a big thing that's helped me out a lot. Like John's helped me out so much with just business tips and things along the way. Obviously you have to fall on your face and make some mistakes on your own.
For sure.
But if you can latch on to people that are already established and already kind of made some mistakes for you, it's kind of like, why reinvent the wheel? Get as much advice as you can. That's a great point. Absolutely. Is to it's like you are who you hang out with type deal. Yep. So surround yourself with people who are kind of have qualities and values and the success that you want to obviously have as well. I think it's a big thing.
It's a big thing. You should definitely look for a group of people that are better than you.
Exactly.
And not better than you as a person. Like I don't mean like, oh, they're better than you. No, but they've already went to different levels that you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Because if you're with people that aren't even at that level, they're below your level of where you're at. And not to say that anybody's below anybody. I don't even mean anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about business wise.
Right. It helps you rise to the occasion.
It really does. They have different avenues. If you can stop or help yourself from falling on your face and not having to do it, hey, listen, you're on your way, to a great path there. But, at that point, you really want to make sure that the people that are around you, A, can provide that knowledge for you. 2, they're genuine about it.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that are not genuine about it, and they'll try to, once they see and they could jump on it and take what you have, they will do it,
It's like some people are really happy for you until you start surpassing their own success, and then it's like a whole different deal. So getting around genuine people, surrounding yourself with mentors that you trust.
Yep.
And you can base that off of, character judgment, off of accomplishments. Just because somebody's super successful doesn't mean they're a great person or a great role model.
This is true. This is true.
Sometimes the bad guys do win, especially in business. Yes. So if you're an athlete, get yourself around athletes who are more successful than you and want to be where you want to be at. If you're trying to be more of a coach, I would say try to mentor a coach that you respect and that is kind of in the same sort of has the same sort of niche you want, you know. And if you're trying to do the business side, it's the same deal. Get with somebody who has a business. Like, be around them as much as you can. Ask questions. I think a lot of people are scared to ask questions. Yep. I was never scared to do that. No. And that's how you learn. And then also, don't just rely on your mentors. Do research on your own.
It's going to take you.
Yeah, right.
Hard work, dedication, consistency. You know, I mean, especially if you're looking to build your brand, build yourself as a brand.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people I see are trying to do this today. And it's, you know, I listen, I don't hate on anybody's hustle or the way that they're trying to hustle, because at least they're giving some effort towards it.
Yeah.
But I do see some mistakes out there that I can tell somebody, hey, listen, I probably wouldn't do this, and maybe critique it another way. But don't let anybody tell you, hey, listen, you can't do it either. I mean, that's just another thing, you know? Because if you listen to everybody that tells you you can't do it, I wouldn't be here in my position.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't be here in her position. So at that point, listen, you know, you got to, if you believe in yourself enough and you put in that hard work and you're doing the right thing over and over and over, usually, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but usually good things are going to happen to you and things are going to happen the right way.
Right.
You know, there's no way for like instant success. No. I think that's the big problem with today. Everybody wants instant gratification.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that they're going to be a star or an influencer, you know, just because they create a YouTube page or they start promoting for a product or a company or whatever it may be. Now, listen, when you do things like this, it can add value to you.
Right.
But it can devalue as well.
Right. You have to be super aware of the message you're sending. So if you are your own brand, for me as example, so I have to be super aware of anything I say, anything I do, anything I'm posting, the pictures behind it, the message behind it, the themes behind it. Absolutely. It's all a reflection of yourself. Yep. And same with a business. If I am my own business, I'm my own boss and my employee, and if you're in the fitness industry, you probably yourself are going to be your best walking advertisement. Yep. And your best marketing tool that money can buy. Yep. So if you're sending out inconsistent themes or themes that don't correlate with the values that you would like people to think of when they see your brand or they look for your services, then you're going to put yourself in a pretty bad place. And especially, I think girls might do this a lot. So the fitness industry, it's easy to be fall into the really sexy vibe and sometimes raunchy vibe, which is cool, to each their own. But ladies, I just want you to be aware. I'm all about being sexy and showing skin and things like that. But be aware what you're putting out there, like I said. So if you want to be looked at as a more sexualized fitness athlete in the industry, that's cool. But just know that that's the kind of category that you're going to get put in. So if that's what you're going for, perfect. But also you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you're respected by the overall business community as well. So do things, I would recommend, in good taste, like I said, that are still reflecting your values as a respected female in the industry. Because, this industry is really big, but it's also really small. Absolutely. Reputation is very hard to build, and it's everything, and it's really easy to just flush down the toilet with one incident or one post, things like that. Another thing I would say is try to stay away from maybe like political stuff or things that
politics, religion,
race,
sex,
things
usually.
like that. Right. That doesn't mean you can't stand for anything. You should definitely take stances and use your role as an ambassador to help people and things like that. But I've always found that once you start commenting on politics or race or things that don't really apply to you as a business, and more apply to your personal beliefs, then you might be trekking into some weird waters where you might lose certain fan bases when you're trying to be inclusive of everyone. So I think as a businesswoman, you should remain sort of unbiased to those sort of topics. If you have personal stances on that, that's fine. But you're not going to see me get on Instagram and say whether I hate Donald Trump or not, because it doesn't help my business at all. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I believe in. It doesn't. First of all, it's off topic, and it doesn't really apply to me as an athlete.
Right. True. So we went over kind of an overview for you guys, right? Where to start. So whether you're in the fitness industry or you have some other hobby or niche that you're trying to monetize on.
Right.
This is the big thing. So find out what that niche or hobby is that you're trying to monetize on.
Right.
Or build your brand on top of.
Yes.
Because you got to start somewhere, right? Somebody just doesn't come out and say, well, I'm John Sikoris and that's my brand, right? And then I start making shirts that say John Sikoris on them.
Yeah.
I get on somewhere and I'm like, hey, yeah, this is my brand.
Yeah. It's like, ask yourself, how are you different? How are you going to make yourself stand out in such a saturated industry, right? Yep. Especially as a female. Like, there's so many girls, out here just wearing bikinis. We all have good bodies. It's like, what makes you different? Why do I want to buy something from you? Or why do I want to look at you or use your services or support you more than the next person? So that's something that you're going to have to ask yourself, because I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce. Yeah. And they're like, I want to be in this, but I don't really know what I represent. And then they spend a lot of time putting mixed signals out there. Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, me, like, I've fallen into the niche of kind of having this androgynous balance between the hardcore girl who can get heavy and lift with the guys and get in the dirt. Mm-hmm. And I also supplement that with the balance of, femininity and still, throwing on a pair of heels. So that's kind of my thing. Dana Bailey kind of had that same vibe too. She was really pretty, still super feminine, and she kind of tiptoed on the line of androgyny with like being super hardcore weightlifter, Olympian athlete, getting in the basement and lifting heavy. So that's my niche that I've capitalized off. I've also capitalized off of posing.
I think that's
one thing I've learned is, like, if you're good at something, you can probably make money off of it nowadays. Yep. So, posing, like, there's a couple people in the industry who teach posing, but I've made that into a legit profession.
Yep.
You can, so don't let anybody tell you, or especially yourself, that like, well, nobody else is doing that, so I don't think that that's something I can make money off of it. If nobody else is doing that, that could be a huge moneymaker for you, for the mere fact that nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, that's a rarity, because a lot of people think of these different things. You think, oh, somebody already thought about this. That's not true in all instances. And if you have that opening, like, you'll be able to exploit it even more.
Yes.
With that, and listen, for me, bodybuilding, fitness, that's just one industry, right? But whatever your hobby is, now it could be kayaking, it could be whatever it is. If you're really good at this, like I had professional paddle boarders.
Yeah,
I believe that's a profession, right? And these guys would teach people how to paddleboard faster. And at that point, get millions of views on there. I just, that's just not something I would think of. But they could monetize on that, and then they could get sponsors and stuff like that,
right?
To help them out with their journeys and so on and so on. So, whatever it is, you don't have to say, well, it has to be this. No, you can, whatever you're good at or what interests you and you think that you can really excel at, that's really where you want to start at, and at that point, start putting in the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so I'm curious, how did you, with Titan Medical, when you first started, like, there's obviously so many, like, feel better clinics and get healthy and weight loss. It's like so oversaturated. So what did you do that you think made Titan Medical, because Titan Medical is extremely successful, but there's tons of other clinics that haven't been as successful. So what set you guys apart when you were initially building your brand?
So when we first got into it, it wasn't thinking, hey, it was going to be what it is today.
Yeah.
I never thought
that was probably a good start. The underdog mindset.
Never be like that. So be humble and don't even think like that, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing was me and Sharice, and she'd already been in the medical field for 13 years, to all these different practices and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was working with doctors and athletes, and then what we were seeing basically was healthcare, right? And people were getting treated like numbers. People weren't getting the attention or even getting, the medications that they possibly need, or even looking at some of these different things. Yeah. Like back in 2012, testosterone was still like a in the dark word for males until low T, that cool term that came out. And then everybody's really started jumping on it. And then it was, what can we do better that other places are not doing?
That's great.
What really sets us apart?
Right.
And for me, at that point, it was, patient service, patient care, and then our signature therapies. That's where Hercules Potion, Titan Complete, Titan Up, Titan Ultra, and all these things really came into play. The next thing is I did market research. I seen what everybody else was doing out there, and I wanted to be different.
So doing his own research, like we said.
So you can't be so like if you look at any other like medical clinic out there, you know, we're not like that as far as advertising and stuff like that. We're totally different. It sets us apart.
I think that's a huge thing. You guys are really translatable to like the general audience.
Absolutely.
It's not just like black and white old school medicine. Your website is really great because you can go on there and it actually explains what's in all of the therapies and what it's doing, instead of a doctor just being like, hey, take this, it'll make you better. You're like, well, why? You know what I mean? That's right. I think people really like that.
So, you know, that's it. Untraditional advertising, you know, that was us. But in the beginning, we'd have no money for advertising. So it's not like, you know, because some of these clinics, what they do is, and I'm glad we started with only $2,000, and we had to fight and kick and crawl for everything that we did. And everybody told us it wasn't going to work. Nobody was going to do injections, this and that, testosterone, and we're going to get in trouble and all this stuff. And like, you know, if you do things right, that's where the good things happen. And if you do things and you're passionate, you got to be passionate.
Right.
Don't think, I'm going to get into this to make $1 million.
That's going to lead you down a path of failure really quickly.
Or you're going to start taking shortcuts that are going to compromise values, ethics, or even possibly get you in trouble.
And that's exactly what we were just talking about as a part of this, is your reputation is huge. So for example, Titan Medical has a great reputation. You're not going to hear people being like, oh, I got something weird from there. I didn't do what it was supposed to do, or it was from an underground lab. Like, you hear about all these places getting busted for doing kind of behind the scenes shortcuts, like we said. So John's business, when he started with Sharice, their values were in line with their business plan. So that's what we keep saying. It's what these get rich quick people and schemes. When you have that mindset, it's not going to set you up for success in the long run.
Definitely not. You know, and that's one thing. Like even with Rachel, when I seen Rachel the first time, it was at a PCA show. Shredded as hell, man, and she definitely has a lot more muscle than now. But she had a vibe, you know, with her, and at that point, like, it set her apart. Like, I ain't talked to her yet. I ain't see her compete on stage. I seen her backstage, and I was like, damn. I was like, you know, this girl has something, and usually, you know, people have that. And if people don't have that, that's where education, they can shine through other ways. But most of those people that have something like that, you know, it's a natural thing. And at that point, I think at the point when you get refined, and she has through the years, it just gets better and better, and then you can market that. You know, it's a marketable person, you know, or brand now.
That's a great point, because it's when you start developing your own brand, like John started on his own, I started on my own, and you're going to be on your own for a little bit. But eventually, once you get semi-established, you're going to have opportunities to start working with other business and getting business partners.
Absolutely.
If you're an athlete, everybody knows that it's an ideal thing to get sponsored. That's great. But there you can run into some trouble too if you're just signing deals and getting in bed with business partners just because they're offering you this or that. You know, I see a lot of athletes who get with sponsors who they don't even use their products that they're marketing for this company. And that's kind of what inconsistent with the going back to the values thing.
Absolutely.
So Titan Medical really values loyalty. They treat their patients like family. I'm a big advocate of loyalty. That's a big value for me. Family is a big value for me. Health on the inside as well as the outside is a big value for me. And being who you are and not judging and working to be the best you. So those are all kind of values that I saw in Titan Medical when I got with them. And that's the reason that I use their products and I promote their products, and I feel at ease and I feel consistent with my values when I do so, because I'm not saying, here, go use this company, but like, they're actually not good enough for me. So I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, then why are you with them? Because it's the you are who you hang out with type that deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that I see, you know, out there that people make a common mistake of. So when you go for a sponsorship, one, you should probably know what your sponsor does. I get tons of sponsorship inquiries every day, from professional athletes, all kinds, not just bodybuilding.
You don't really know what
and amateurs, or even just regular patients, right? And you know, and some people know what we do. Some people just don't have a clue. They have no idea.
Yeah, they just know you're successful, so they're like, I want to be a part of that.
Right. So they just want to be a part of Titan. So you know, at that point, so it's like, listen, know a little bit about what they do.
Absolutely.
If you're using their products, you know, I've had some people where they've been a patient, use the products, and they're an athlete or whatever it might be, and then at that point come back and say, listen, like, you know, I want to be a part of this, and, you know, can I? And then we go over down that process. But the biggest mistake I see after that is that people sign all these deals, and they think that it's better to have 20 different companies on their page. And I understand, where you're coming from to a degree, but it devalues your brand.
I totally agree.
And if you're pushing something out there that you don't believe in, you don't use, your followers are probably going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the first time, but it's going to go down the hatch like, oh, you're just pushing this stuff just to push it and you're getting paid.
Yeah. And you get free sweatpants every month or something.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? If I go on your page and you're sponsored by 4 different clothing companies.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, again, I get not having all your eggs in one basket. I get that. Yeah. But for me, it's more like in business, I'd rather be quality over quantity.
Of course.
Right?
Of
so
course.
you might have a bunch of support from all these companies, but that kind of looks to me like, why don't you just stick with one thing that you really believe in and put all your time and your effort into that company?
Right. And if they believe you that much, they'll back you too.
Exactly. And if not, it's okay to say no.
Of course.
I think a lot of people, especially athletes, they get offers and it's like their first offer and they're like, oh my God, I might not get this again. I've never had this, so I need to take it. And it's totally okay to say no. Don't let anybody talk you into anything that you don't believe in or that's not going to be good for you in the long run. Yep. I had other companies that tried to talk to me before and, I didn't know if I was going to get another offer after those, but they weren't really in line with my values and where I wanted to go as an athlete, what I wanted to represent as a businesswoman. Mm-hmm. So you respectfully decline and the right thing will come along.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, at that point, listen, just, set your goals of what you want to achieve. And at that point, if you think that a company is in line with what you want to achieve and you guys can benefit, the door has to swing both ways.
Yeah.
It's got to be a benefit. And any company that's going to look at you for sponsorship or endorsement and stuff like that, they have to have a return on investment. That's an ROI,
mm-hmm.
okay? And if you're going to go into business, you need to think about this to a certain extent, right? It does matter.
Absolutely.
I've had doctors who they will give their heart, right? And at that point, they don't want to make any money per se, but how do you expect to open and keep open a practice? How do you expect to pay your employees? You can't pay them with charity. You can't say, well, here it is, thank you. It just doesn't work because people have to support their families and such. So, that's the big thing. So at that point, make sure you guys are building your value and the company has some value for you too as well. But make sure that you can do something as far as provide for the company. And at that point, they're going to say, hey, listen, this person is important to us. This person helps us. They're a part of our family. They should say that. Or at least team, because some people, they give me crap about the family thing. And let me break that down for you guys. So I think of everybody here as family. Yeah. Now, the big thing about family is I love them unconditionally. Right. That to a lot of people, like, no, that's not a good way to think about it. I've had a lot of big dogs talking about this and say, listen, you should address them as a team. And let me tell you why. Because the best team member is the one that's playing. The other ones are going to sit on the bench, right? Mm-hmm. So you want your best players out there. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's kind of an thing. Listen, I'm going to have my best players out there, but they're still family to me, and I want to make sure they're taken care of. Because, listen, people stumble around along the way sometimes, and they need your support. It's not, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, like always holding a tab.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about that, like, those are people that you really don't want. Like, people that are going to be there for you in your time of need. Now, if you use excuses all the time, they're going to pick up on that.
But I think that falls in line with any business. Like, you have companies that don't pay. They have super high turnover rates. And when they bring people in to the corporate company, they're like, let's look at this company and see why so many people are just not loyal to you guys and quit all the time. Right. They're either not treating their employees correctly. They're not paying them their worth. They're not acknowledging their value, things like that. So, I mean, the family thing's great because you're investing into the people that are part of your brand, and they're going to invest in you in return because you're treating them how they want to be treated. My dad always told me, treat the janitor like you treat the CEO.
100%.
Everybody's the same. And if especially once you come into a leadership role, you'll find that you're in a position of power in some sorts, and some people take advantage of that. John's a great example of not taking advantage of that and staying true to his values along the way. So don't let that get to your head, whether you're on the top or you're on the employee section. Keep the respect.
Always remember where you came from.
And making a long, yeah, for sure.
100%.
For sure. It will pay off, especially in this industry, like we said. Reputation's everything, and people will say that about you.
And that's in anything you do in life. Reputation is everything, right? Even with the internet out there, man, I mean, you can't run from some of these things. Before, people could mess people over and they could move different states, and then people wouldn't know who the hell you were.
Yeah.
Now it's all over the internet. People can find you, they know who you are, social media, they're going to get you. So just watch out for that. Make sure you do it. Let's go through this. So you've found the hobby or niche that you want to do.
Right.
You're all in. You want to do this. The next thing is you're going to have to make long-term and short-term plans and goals.
Super important.
You know, short-term is how am I going to progress and build my brand? How am I going to be able to monetize on these things?
Yeah.
You know, and then long-term is what's the game plan? What's the end game, per se?
Right.
You know, a lot of businesses, they talk about this. Very successful people, when they start a business, they already talk about an end game of where they want to go.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's building more and more, you know, as far as tighten a brand and stuff like that. For other people, it's selling their brand out at that point. That's what they do. Big companies build up, then they sell the company out, and they go and start something new.
Yeah. So, it's important to have long-term goals, but like when you started, you weren't like, oh my God, I'm going to build this multi-million-dollar company, and we're going to have our hands in this and that. Because it's just like anything. You know, if I started bodybuilding the first day I was in the gym, I was like, I have to make it to the Olympia, and I have to build all this stuff. Like, you get super overwhelmed, and you're going to spend a lot of time reminiscing about the future and not taking action.
That could be a dream.
Right. A lot of people just are wrapped up in like, I'm going to do this eventually.
Yep.
And they never do it because you're not supplementing that with short-term goals. So like some short-term goals that you can achieve.
Yep.
Once you do those as well, you'll see that your long-term goals might change depending on how you're fulfilling your short-term goals.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I didn't have a goal of like going to the Olympia. I didn't know that I wasn't going to be working at a corporate job anymore when I started bodybuilding, but I made short-term goals, and me achieving those short-term goals changed the direction of my long-term plan. So don't be too invested in the big end game because most of the time that's going to change. And
it's true.
My mom always says God laughs at your plan, you know, so make some short-term goals. Like you can start with, I said, I'm going to set up a website for myself. There's a lot of like free websites that it's actually really easy to build your own website without hiring a huge marketing team.
WordPress is one.
Shopify is really quick
that's
too.
Another one.
Yeah.
Shopify. There's so many things. I remember like when we started, like there wasn't a lot at that point. There was WordPress and stuff like that in the beginning, but you had some knowledge of how to work WordPress. But that's the beautiful thing about right now. I know before in my other business that I did, like literally, like you were on some other software and they were writing the code.
Yeah, it was really old school.
It was a pain in the ass, and you really had to rely on somebody. Now you can really do it yourself, along with Google. Like if you take the time and really research these things, it will literally tell you how to break down and how to do these things for yourself.
Absolutely.
So it's all about your dedication at that point and how much you really want it.
Right.
You know, so you did the website. That was your first thing?
I did the website, and another big thing was, I used to work in the criminal justice field and the fraud field in insurance. Like, I had a totally different career. I went to college for abnormal psychology. I have my bachelor's in psych with like an emphasis in criminal psychology. So that was totally different from the fitness industry. So it's when I started bodybuilding, I didn't just say, okay, I'm going to quit my job and like hope everything just works out because I'm all in and I want to go make this my life because I see this huge end game of me being a pro bodybuilder. No. Right. So you have to be kind of smart about your goals too. Like I set up I literally have a note in my phone. I still have it. It said, quit your job plan. So I realized that I didn't want to be working in this field anymore. My heart wasn't in it. I had found my niche, right? I found this passion for bodybuilding, and I had this ambition that I could capitalize off of it. But I knew, you got to look at your finances. You got to look at your responsibilities. If you have a family, if you have other people that depend on you, maybe just quitting your job and winging it isn't the best move. So, you can set up a timeline. How much money do I need to save in every month to get to my long-term goal of the money that I want to save this year? What do I used to go home after work. I'd go right to the gym, and then I'd come home, and then I'd work on my own business on my own time. So you're going to have to sacrifice some hours. Put some time aside, whether it's on the weekends or after work or this or that, that you're working on your own business so you can do these things simultaneously so that the transition, when you do make it, I mean, there's always going to be that risky period where you just went from the security of like a corporate job to being self-employed, but you can make the transition a little easier than just risking it all and quitting one day and not having anything in place. So like when I left my old job, I had my website launched the week before. You know, I had enough money saved to know that, say everything went catastrophically wrong that I had planned, I'd be good for at least 6 months.
That's a good
So, you know, put some backup plans in place before you take calculated risk. I'm all about taking calculated risks, but these are short-term goals you can do. You know, financial planning, working on your own business on your own time.
Absolutely.
You can start building your brand on social media, getting your audience up, getting business cards, things like that.
Yeah.
Which is a good transition. We can talk about social media because that's huge.
I mean, just let me touch on a couple things.
Yeah.
Here. So with short-term goals, all right? So the first thing you guys need to do is break down, like, what's the next step of what I need to do for my brand. And if you guys don't know what that is, like she said, do some financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say, listen, how much is it going to take me to, whatever it is, if you're going to build a product, how much is it going to cost, all this?
Yeah.
And remember this in the beginning. Nothing is perfect. You better be able to adapt.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
hit a curveball.
Exactly.
Because I'm telling you, everybody plans for everything to be so perfect. And I'm telling you, most of the time, it never happens like
right.
that. Even today, or yesterday when we were on the road and we're trying to set up the show for Titan Talk, like literally, like you have to adapt every time. Is this program going to work? Is it not going to work? What are we going to do if this doesn't work?
But that sets a good entrepreneur apart from somebody who can't handle that.
Yeah.
How can you adapt?
You got to adapt. You got to have that mindset. You got to have a strong mindset. I think that's the biggest thing with an entrepreneur that's out there. If you do not have a strong mindset and you're weak-minded, it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
You got to be strong-minded because people are going to say no. You got to be able to move on from that, roll with the punches. You know, even with me, when we started Titan Medical Center, it was really crazy how it happened. Mm-hmm. So, I was working a huge corporate job. I had another business. And at that point, like, I was just not happy. Making great money.
Yeah. Same.
Done with it. I'm like, I'm over with this. I'm it. So, at that point, I started getting the things together, what I was going to do for Titan. I started, first of all, you're going to have to get the URL, which you're going to have to buy your domain name.
Yep.
Right? Make sure that's open and free. You're going to have to make sure you do a research, and you can do this on your own without a patent attorney or a trademark attorney, but make sure that, hey, listen, whatever your brand name is going to be, you better make sure nobody else has it out there.
Trademark.
Okay? The third thing is that you better set up your social medias before anybody else does. Make sure you can lock in your names all across
the board. There should be like that consistent
Facebook,
theme.
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all these different social media platforms. That's the big thing out here. Think about this. When you're out there, right, and you're out here today, if I had all the real estate in Tampa, I'd be loving it, right? Because I can put Titan everywhere.
Right.
Now, the internet's the exact same thing. You have all this open, and it's free real estate for you guys. At that point, set up your name, take over that real estate, and start utilizing it for yourself. It might not happen today or tomorrow, but if you be consistent.
You have to be consistent.
It will start growing.
Yes.
It might start growing at a smaller pace, or it might start growing at a fast pace. And you never know when somebody's going to be able to throw in that gas on the fire, and you're going to ignite and take off. Like a Shark Tank thing or anything like that, because it happens to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
The next thing after that is when we went into this, and I quit my job. Literally, maybe 3 weeks later, Sharice got hit by a doctor in a parking lot, and he was on his way to an emergency room, and he was going about 50 miles an hour, totaled the car, took out her shoulder, dislocated it, and it was in the exact same plaza because she worked for a doctor, and the other doctor was renting from that doctor in the exact same building. So they didn't let her come back to work. They're like, unless you're 100% that you can come back and you have this from another physician. So at that point, Sharice started, doing Titan with me. I'm like, listen, you can definitely benefit here. And at this point, we have a 2-year-old son. Right?
No
so,
pressure.
hey, it's either do or die.
Yeah.
There's no, I can go back to this. No, it's do or die. Listen, we're going to do this,
mentality.
And that's it. That's it. You got to have that mentality to a certain extent. And make sure you're educated to a certain. Now, listen, I had funds to go for 6 months, but at that point, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I could always get into something else, I guess.
It's always going to be that leap of faith when you're changing. Like you
gotta believe in yourself,
and don't expect it to happen overnight. If you're scared, that's good. It's fine. That's normal. Like I was so scared because I came from a family that, like, they support my dreams, but I came from a family where it's like you go to college, you get a 401k, you work 9 to 5, and you get the same paycheck, and that's how you're successful. So just changing that ideology is scary itself, being the first one to do it. You know what I mean? So don't be scared.
So I think that was one benefit that I had. The difference with Charisse. For me, my dad, not college educated, didn't graduate high school. He created an awesome business that took care of us. It's not to where I'm at now, which is exactly what I wanted to. I wanted to surpass him.
Right.
But it was that level. He showed me that you didn't have to do that as long, because he was a hard worker. He went out to the field.
Yeah.
He was water blasting, sandblasting out there, doing it himself. In the beginning. So that really taught me. My mom, no college, didn't graduate high school, ran away at like 13 years old. So at that point, that showed me. But when I got with Charisse, her parents struggled her whole life, paycheck to paycheck, and told her, listen, get the 9 to 5, get the 401k,
the security.
You'll have $50,000 a year, and you'll be happy with that. And that's what life's all about. And then I had to break that mindset to her. I'm like, listen,
it's hard.
We can do a lot more than this. You're worth more than this. At that point, Charisse was making, I think, at her top level, and she was teaching for a college at one point, the medical assisting program. And we were happy when she was getting $25 an hour.
Yeah.
$25 an hour. I'm like, man, that's awesome. That's good pay. It really is. Listen, you're making $25 an hour, $30 an hour. That's still good, really good pay.
Yeah.
But if you can do something right in that field or whatever your hobby is, and you can make more money than that, then by all means, you need to go after your dream. You don't want it to, when you're 70 or 60 years old, thinking about and just regretting.
Wish I could have tried that.
Regretting.
That's terrible.
It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. I know people that talk to me about it all the time. Older guys. I always listen to them. And man, I regret not doing this, or stuff like that. So just listen to yourself. You got to believe in yourself, no matter what anybody else says, and create that.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I was the same way when I was. I was great at my job. It's not like I was bad at it. I was a top performer. I was really good at it, but I made great money. I made way more money than a lot of people my age. I had all types of, great benefits, health insurance. Like, it was the ideal setup, but I was getting to work every morning. I was having panic attacks in my car before I had to walk in, and I was just staring out the window all day, and it kind of makes you feel like, man, am I lazy, or am I, I'm ungrateful for what I have? And I started to realize, no, this just isn't, you weren't just born to do this.
Yeah.
And you'd look around, and if you're born to work in a cubicle and that gives you happiness, by no means are we demeaning that type of lifestyle, but it has to be consistent with your heart.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, because some, different people have different things of what makes them happy. If that job is making you happy, you're passionate about what you're doing, by all means, stay there and do what you need to do. Because, you can always do a hobby on the side and still monetize on things. It's not it. You can start a business on the side, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do things. So, don't be discouraged about that. But if you're looking out the window every day, or you're not liking what you're doing, you need to change things if you can, for sure.
You do.
And if you don't take that step and you're scared the whole time, you're never going to do it. You're going to regret it. And it's going to weigh on you a long, long time until you're dead, man.
Absolutely.
So that's a big thing. All right, so let's go into social media. This is a big thing. So, with short-term and long-term goals, now social media has brought in a whole different array of things that people can do to monetize. And this could be, for different brands, or for themselves, or selling their own T-shirts, or whatever it is. With social media, you guys got to remember this. It's out there, and it's out there forever.
Right.
People can take screenshots of whatever you do. They can download a lot of those different things. But the best thing about it is you're getting to a wide array, a bigger
for free
audience out there.
For free marketing. This is free marketing.
Even if you're only getting 10% of your network, like these social networks do.
Yeah.
But you can hit a lot bigger masses. I mean, you can go worldwide if your business is, let's say, a T-shirt.
Yeah.
At that point, you can create these these cool T-shirts. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different resources out there that you guys can utilize too, along with that. But you're going to want to make sure that you stick to your brand's values, morals, and ethics.
There should be a current theme. Like when I go on your Instagram of your business.
What's your mission statement?
Yeah, what's your mission statement? Like, what is your theme? Is it consistent with what your name is? Are your posts giving me the same type of vibe?
That's right.
And it has to be for a consistent amount of time. Like, I can't emphasize consistency enough. Like, you're not going to get on Instagram and make an account and be like, have 100,000 followers overnight, right? So, I started my Instagram account and I had like my mom and dad following me. You know what I mean?
You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. It didn't happen. I didn't buy followers, anything like that, and I don't have millions of followers yet either. But I picked my theme. I was gonna go with this superwoman type vibe and inspire people with my fitness journey. So I started from there, and I started posting consistently. It's not like I post one day and then I disappear for 2 weeks and then pop back on Instagram. And we're just talking about Instagram, but this applies to all brands. You need to post consistently. Take whatever your theme is, and so like for me, for example, I always try to get these posts in a week. I'll try to do like a fitness post that represents, my athletic journey. I'll get posts in from my sponsor as often as possible because they're a part of who I am and my brand and my theme as well. I'll try to get something about my posing in there, whether it's me posing or my other clients, because that way I'm marketing my business in a certain aspect. And then I'll try to get a post about my clothing line in there. And these are all following this like superwoman theme to some extent. But each of them are promoting different aspects of my business in a different way. So that's the same thing. If you're looking for like, well, I don't know what to talk about. Well, find out what you're trying to make money off of and talk about that.
Right.
Quality. People like quality posts.
Absolutely.
Like, it's great if you just throw up a picture and like a little emoji. But John gave me this advice a while ago. He's like, post more things that are personal too, because people really relate to that, especially if they look at you as like a sort of like unattainable up there athlete. People like to feel like they see a part of themselves in you.
That's right.
And you can tie that into your posts. You can do like some more personal ones. Doesn't mean you have to spill all your business, but people do really respond to that.
Yep. There's a formula out there that really does work with that stuff. And, with creating your brand, I want you guys to think about this. Think about what your story is. All right?
That's it.
Where you come from, what made you want to do this. That's the biggest thing. That's what sets you apart.
Yes.
Like, I didn't tell my story, and it's like nobody, listen, me and Sheree started with nothing, $2,000. We worked every single patient.
Right.
We grew. We did this and this, and that's how we came apart. When Rachel told me her story and what she's had to go through, right? That was a big thing to me. Like, that sets Rachel apart. Like, she wasn't, she had scoliosis. She's had to go through some serious surgeries. She still's got plates in her back.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, that's intriguing. That draws me to her. Like, because she is an athlete now. She's a professional athlete. She was an MMA before. She was a gymnast. She didn't let those things that people could, they could be say, oh, I had this done to me. I can't do that. Like, or I'm restricted. People probably told her, like, you'll never do this. You'll never do that.
Definitely.
You'll never do this. And at that point, like, you got to make educated risks, I guess, to a certain extent. You don't want to do anything to harm yourself permanently, but, that's what sets you apart. So know your story.
Yeah.
Let people have that story. Like,
and embrace it, because I didn't think when like I first started, like I would casually tell people if they asked about my like athletic history, be like, yeah, I had back surgery. People would be like, oh my god, like why don't you talk about that?
For
and
sure.
I was like, well, people don't want to care. They don't want to see that. Like, people don't care about that. And I didn't think that my story was special. And I think a lot of people think that too. They're like, well, I don't really have like some cool rocky underdog story of like how I made it top. But the cool thing about your story is it's always going to be unique because someone else has never lived it.
For sure.
And you can tie in whatever message you're trying to send with whatever story you have,
I mean, I've seen other brands out there, like, they've made these brands and we're giving a certain amount of money to charity or to cancer funds or whatever it was, and they put that inside their message, like, every watch we sell, we're donating $10, or every shoe that we sell, we're donating a pair of shoes to the homeless. Things like that really catch somebody. And after that, when you have your story like that and you're building your profiles and stuff like that, it might not come quick, but it might go really fast. I know some people, listen, their profile was average. They get hurt or something happens with somebody that's famous and they blow up.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just, you know, it's one aspect of it.
It's just grinding and not expecting that. Like, don't place your value of success off of like making this amount of money or having this many followers. No. Just keep grinding. Like, if you're, a lot of people just mess up because they're like, nothing's happening. It's been 3 months. I've been posting. I've been working really hard. Like, and unfortunately, it's not all about hard work. Sometimes you just have to do something long enough to put yourself in a place where a little bit of luck will just sprinkle on you and things will pop off.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I did my Instagram for like 2 years. I didn't really have a lot of followers. All of a sudden, I won New York Pro. I didn't think that was going to happen. I got freaking 50,000 followers all the night. All of a sudden, people want to buy my workouts and stuff.
Right.
You know? But it's not like I stopped after a couple months because I was like, nothing's happening. I don't see infinite amount of success happening like I do. And that's how the best companies are built. They're not built overnight. No. But like we were saying about your story, it's super important. It's like picture like a movie like Superman or something, and picture you're in the movie theater and they just started playing the movie at the part where Superman first comes out and he's Superman for the first time and saves somebody's life. Like, that's still really cool. Yeah. But isn't it cooler if we start at the beginning and learn who Clark Kent was and what he went through and the stuff with his parents and his adoption? Like, by the time we get to sing that he's Superman, you really appreciate it more.
It brings you more closer to you.
Yeah, and it's relatable because you're like, oh my God, I'm adopted. Superman's adopted. Like, I'm kind of like Superman. You know what I mean? This is right. And it doesn't have to be a Superman story, but like, there's always something in your story, no matter how average you think it is, that somebody else will be able to relate to. Yeah. Because the majority of the world is pretty average. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so chances are somebody else is going to relate to you if you make yourself relatable.
So don't do the exact same thing either. Try to set yourself apart. And we've talked about this many times.
Yes, yeah, unique.
You got to set yourself apart. You know, for fitness industry, I'll tell you guys, listen, when I come across, because most of my stuff on my profile or my line, my timeline, I see it. It's people working out, people showing their food. Yeah. You know, like certain things like this, but it's not like there's no originality.
Yeah. Why are you different than the other guy working out?
I gotta say, so like with her posts, like, you know, she does these, and it's not her just posing in a gym in front of a camera. No. She goes and she does the extra production on it. Yeah. Like when she did on the car, the Challenger. I mean, these are cool things. Like in the dark, like. That's cool stuff that intrigues people. People want to see that. They'll tune in for more. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're giving them education or they're giving it like a visual experience, people want to do that. You know, that's what they do. Like they're on the phone. Like, you know, people do watch TV, but a lot of people are on their phones and they're watching YouTube. They're watching social media. You know, whatever it is, they're watching their favorite person on live. Yeah. But just getting the education out there. Listen, fitness industry, it's really easy. You know. Set yourself apart, have some original workouts, set some food, talk about yourself, and you're not perfect all the time. I don't care who you are. Nobody's perfect out there. And people don't
really like to see perfect.
People portraying that, man, you're wrong for that.
People don't really like to see perfect because it reminds them that they aren't perfect. Yeah. Which we all aren't. Yeah. So it's much more influential to remind somebody, I'm not perfect. Like, that makes people feel a lot better than you being like, I'm perfect.
You know, if it's, let's say it's obstacle courses. I'm gonna give Art some shout here. if you're doing obstacle courses and you want to make that a thing, right? You want to get sponsored by some companies. You want to go nationwide or whatever it is. Yeah. Listen, show your train, how you're doing it. Maybe the technique of it. You know, at that point, what you're doing, how you're going about it. You know, the prep up to that. You know, the day of. You know, showing that and then talking about that and then showing like. Your personal life. Listen, if you got a family, you don't got to show your kids because some people are weird about that, and I understand that too. But, showing your loved one or showing what you have to go through, or maybe injuries you sustained in some of these different things in training. I know another guy who does fishing, and he's a professional fisher. He's got a show in the whole nine. Yeah. He shows the bait, the tackle he uses, the technique. He talks about why, and people are intrigued about that like fishing. They want to know, hey, listen, how can I catch bigger fish? What's his secret? What's he using? And that's really where you're giving that knowledge away. And just like I said, it's being consistent over and over and over.
I got a good question about Instagram. Sure. Do you think that utilizing hashtags is a good way to increase followers? Has that actually worked at all?
So, all right. So, hashtag yes.
Yes.
You want to, in priority of the hashtags, you want to make your first 1, 2, 3, basically, right? And what's the main thing that you're hashtagging? Second, third, right? So, for me, it's always type medical, and then if it's a therapy or it's an athlete, whatever it is, So, yes, the reason is this, and I don't do it, but you got to remember this: people look at things differently. Yeah. Whether it's advertising or on social media, people always look at things different. So some people look at just hashtags. They go to the hashtag and look at all the pictures underneath those hashtags. Yes. And then if they see like a really cool picture, it sticks out.
They go to you.
They click it.
Yeah.
And then they follow you.
Yeah.
Because they want to see more of that, right? So yes, hashtags are definitely it. Posting too. Don't overpost.
Yeah.
I would say, listen, 2 to 3 posts a day if you
don't want to annoy people with you too much, because then they'll just stop following you.
So I've seen some people on here they'll post 10 pictures in a row, same time.
I don't want to see that.
So it's dude, you're flooding my timeline, and it's like the same picture, just a little bit of movement. Okay, I understand you want to get out there and everything like that, but that's not the way to do it. People are going to get annoyed. They're going to unfollow you or block you. I'm just telling you like it is.
Yeah.
So don't overpost, but you got to make yourself relevant. You got to be consistent with the posting. Like I said, 2 a day would be good, 3 a day at most. And find those times. Use the analytics.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can go on Instagram and you can literally it does it for you. It tells you the times that your followers are most active on Instagram. So boom, if your followers are most active at 5:30 p.m. on Monday nights, that's when you need to be posting a lot. I use hashtags under my posts, and I also tag certain brands in my picture, because that means you can kind of piggyback on people's clout, right? So if I go tag the Mr. Olympia page in my picture, then all of a sudden everyone who follows the Mr. Olympia page but not necessarily follows me already, they might see me pop up on their tag pictures and then say, well, I'm into fitness and I like bodybuilders. This girl's a bodybuilder. I'm going to go to her page and follow. Boom, now I have new followers. Yep. And it's the same with hashtags. You can actually look up the most viewed hashtags, like Throwback Thursday, things like that. If you should always hashtag your business name, like Titan Medical, I always hashtag Rachel Daniels. Absolutely. Because I want my hashtag to be a thing, and I'm going to be consistently up there.
And you're setting it up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it only comes with you consistently doing it.
That's right.
That's how you bounce onto the Explore page, and that's how you get, like you said, Titan's going to be tagging things in the medical community, because other pages or other people looking at hashtags about, PCT or, TRT, things like that. Then they're going to be they're going to see Titan Medical, and that's probably going to be something that they want to look at, and it's something within their range.
Absolutely. The next thing is don't take shortcuts for monetizing or trying to make money. And now listen, I'm gonna cover this because a lot of females out there think that they have to be sexy on Instagram or Facebook, and the more skin they show or the more ass shots they show, that they're gonna get more followers. You might get more followers. I ain't gonna tell you that sex doesn't sell, right? Yeah. But the quality of followers of who you're going to get, and then are you going to get typecasted as that person?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And then you're going to think, oh, this makes me cool, so I got to do more of these posts. Yeah. And then the OnlyFans comes into play. Now people think they're going to get rich off OnlyFans. Now listen, this can be a tool you can utilize. The only thing that I tell people out there, and just be cautious of what you put on the internet is going to stay on the internet.
Yeah.
Now, later on down the road, things may change for guys and girls, because I know guys that do things and girls that do things on there. I know guys that sell just workouts on there, or girls that sell workouts on there. That's totally fine. But if you're starting to be sexual to that extent, these people can download your stuff. They can send your stuff out. They can send it to your future jobs. So if you're in college or you're wanting to be in criminal justice, I know people, and this was before OnlyFans, that were doing webcamming. And this girl, all she wanted to do, her lifelong goal was to be a police officer. She finally made it as a police officer. And then what happened? Some people sent in to her chief some of the links to her old web, because as soon as she became a cop, she cut everything off. But people had these different things, and they sent them in, and they let her go because of this, because it didn't fit their moral or ethics code of the department. So, people say that they can't judge you or stereotype you or say no to a job. They don't have to tell you this is the reason why we won't hire you.
But if you don't reflect the company in good light, they can not work with you based on that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the same values things. say you did something like this a while ago, and like we said, we're not bashing being sexual or however you want to capitalize off it. But then say your values, kind of change, and then later down the road you want to get with the company, like you want to be a police officer or something. You have to be aware that any actions that you did in the past, it's not 30 years ago where we didn't have phones or anything like that. Like, we can find everything you've done. You leave a paper trail on everything you do with technology. So, a company very well might be like, well, we don't like the image you represent, and that's not what we represent, so we're not going to work with you.
Yeah, and this is a big thing too. This has nothing to do with sexuality, but like now you see like all these people are getting canceled because of things that they said 8 years ago on Twitter. 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I mean, people are bringing these things back up, and then these people are getting in trouble or losing their jobs or careers that they've worked their whole life for, and they might have said this when they were 17 years old. So just be weary of what you put out there because it can always come back and kick you in the ass. I hate that, but it is what it is. And some people might have thought that then, and now they're a whole different person. And people do evolve and change. Yeah. So, you can't always hold things against them what they did in the past. That's why when kids do things when they're kids and they grow up to be adults, it's two different things, man. So it is what it is. So just be wary. If you're going to build that brand, don't try to take shortcuts. Don't look for the quick payday, because it's real easy for that. I mean, it's especially in this day and age. I mean, it's real simple and easy to do something like that. Just make sure you guys are doing what's going to be best for yourself. All right. Cool. Any other questions out there before we get done? We got a 2-minute warning, guys. I know we've covered a lot here, so if you guys have any questions about this, you guys can DM it and we'll maybe cover it in another episode because this is a really good episode. I think a lot of people are really going to benefit from this. And there's a lot more to cover. It's just, we only have an hour to cover these things.
I know, right?
I think
we did pretty good.
So, George McCarthy, this is a little bit off. It says, also, the sport needs more major sponsors so you can get bigger paydays from the contest. Now, I don't know about that.
I don't agree.
I don't agree either. And let me tell you why. Because I'm a major sponsor of some of these different events.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money that comes in, okay? There's a lot of money that we pay. So, and I'm not going to say the promoter. No, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and everything like that. So, maybe the bigger contests and maybe the bigger paydays and stuff like that, maybe more quality.
Yeah, but I can speak because I'm a pro bodybuilder who can make money off of contests. Yeah. And once you're at a professional level, like, think about how many shows you're really going to be doing a year. It's like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3. Yeah. That's just not anyone who thinks that capitalize like you're going to make all your money off of being a competitive bodybuilder just from winning shows. It's absolutely wrong. If anything, you should be looking at bodybuilding shows as a marketing tool. Right. So that's a great way for people to see your face and start paying attention to you, and that way your products and services that you can make a lot of money off of daily are going to be in their face, and they're going to want to buy them. That's
an achievement.
Yeah, it's achievement. It's credibility.
Absolutely.
It's saying, well, I'm going to buy this girl's workout program because she made it to the Olympia, and she probably knows what she's doing in the gym, right? Yep. So it's a marketing tool. Yep. It's not gonna be a payday just from winning bodybuilding shows. Trust me.
All right, so guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Flex Wheeler was on too. Big shout out to Big Flex. I talked to him the other day.
He's super cool.
Super cool dude. He's been through a lot of adversity himself. He's been to the top, and obviously some of the things he's going through right now. He's on the comeback, so big shout out to him and everybody out there. Listen, somebody knocks you down or you get knocked down, it's about people that get back up and do what they need to do. So make sure,
hustle, guys.
If something does happen, listen, that's one bump in the road. Every day is a blessing, and every day you can make changes. So make it count. All right, guys. So I'm John.
Rachel, a.k.a. Lois Lane.
Absolutely. And this has been another Titanette time and how to build your brand as a fitness model, competitor, or anything else that you want to do out there. You guys can do it. All you guys got to do is put the work forth. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week with another great topic.
See you guys.
What you gonna do?